It is incomparable with anywhere else. The most immediate cost element is from Liberia, and they are charging 489.50 Ghana cedis. That's the equivalent of $50.
You heard Andy Apiakubi. He's the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. Now, the West African Examination Council, WAEC, has arrested 2 persons at Agnoswedro in the Central Region for alleged illegal registration of candidates for the upcoming West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASI. According to WAEC, the arrests were made possible through the collaborative efforts of the National Security and the Security Units of the exams body.
Period. And each school has a biometric device that is used for registration. And each device is unique to a specific school. Now, we received intelligence that there were people who were registering candidates that actually didn't belong to any particular school. So we followed up, and then when our people arrived at Shredro, they met these 2 gentlemen in the act of doing the registration, and that's how come they were picked up. So yes, we've handed them over to the police. So for those 2 people, they are going to be charged for illegally registering examination candidates. Now, for the institution that owns or that registered this particular biometric machine, we are going to screen their candidates and ensure that they actually the bona fide candidates of that particular institution, and then going forward we may have to recognize them for illegally using the biometric device for registering illegal candidates.
Mr. Kapi further called on citizens to refrain from any examination malpractices as WAEC has put in place enhanced mechanisms to check all illegalities.
Yeah, I think last Wednesday, we indicated that there were what we term banner schools. These are people who are registering candidates when in actual fact they are not running schools. Take, for example, what was happening at Swedro, those that were arrested. The device belongs to a school in Kenya, say Swedro. So that tells you that wherever you are, and they mention some schools, High Moral, Osbury Colleges, Majesty, Divine, these are non-existent schools. They are just there in name. And so we are cautioning parents, we are cautioning prospective candidates that they should not subscribe to some of these non-existent schools that are charging them exorbitant fees with the assurance of scoring A's and all of that.
John Kapi is a public relations officer at the West African Examination Council, WAEC. Still on education, teachers in part of the Volta region have returned to school after their leaders called off a strike declared 2 weeks ago to demand better working conditions. A visit to some schools this morning in the whole municipality reviewed teachers and pupils in class engaged in academic activities. However, some schools visitors showed that some students are yet to return following the suspension of the strike. Some teachers who spoke to Citi News said academic activities are proceeding smoothly and urged the students who are yet to return to do so promptly.
It's rather unfortunate that most of the students are not here. Some are here though, but with the Form 3s, they are here busy writing the schoolwork. For teaching and learning, tomorrow is our exam, so we are not having any teaching today, but they are revising on their own so that by tomorrow they'll be able to start their exams. We are rather waiting for them to come. So we told them when they go home, they should inform others to come and then so that we can start exams tomorrow.
These are our Form 3 students. They have started their mock yesterday. So as the strike is going on, because they started their mock, some of us are compelled to come and see to the exam they are taking. So now the directive is all of us have to come back. But the Form 1 and 2s, only a few of them that are in. By the close of the day, we will announce to their colleagues that once we have been told to come back and we'll be starting exam tomorrow, they should inform their colleagues who are not yet in school today that we are starting exam tomorrow, so all of them are supposed to be in school. Then next week we'll be vacating.
You heard some teachers in the whole municipality of the Volta region speaking to Citi News, but let's check the situation in the Ashanti region. Over there, also normalcy has returned to various schools with teaching and learning progressing smoothly. During Citi News' visit to some of the schools in the region, head teachers confirmed that academic activities were ongoing and students, especially those in the junior high and primary schools, were preparing for the examinations. Some head teachers also confirmed that student attendance was lower because they had just resumed from the 2-week strike. Meanwhile, Atindana Baba Joseph, the Ashanti Regional Secretary for the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, says the unions would advise themselves again should negotiations stall.
We cannot preempt what will happen tomorrow because once we are calling off the strike in good faith, we hope they also meet with us in good faith and make sure they put what we have asked for, give us a good roadmap to achieving those activities. If we realize that they are not being truthful with us, that has also got a different, role. In all cases, we'll have plan B. And the plan B is that we'll go back, sit down, call members, call council, and tell them what we are met with. Should we go on or not? There are several ways of killing a cat, and we will not show our cards to government as of now. So when we get to the river, we will cross it.
Atindana Baba Joseph is the Ashanti Regional Secretary for the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News. When we return, we'll tell you about majority in Parliament justifying the astronomical increased cost of applications for passport. Please stay for more.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Citi TV is live on DSTV, GoTV, and HD+. On DSTV, find us on channel 363. On GoTV, we're on channel 117, and on HD+, get us on channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search, but take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV. Citi TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and HD+ boxes. Citi TV, it's your world.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Let's do some more stories this afternoon. A private legal practitioner, Martin Pebu, has called on the government to put in place stringent measures to regulate the award of scholarships by the state. This follows a public outcry about the Scholarship Secretariat's activities over the years. In an interview, Martin Pebu underscored the need for equitable use of public funds.
It's been well articulated by various government appointees, ministers of education, etc., that government policy is to give scholarship to brilliant but needy students. So that is what it is. But it appears that looking at what we have now, it will make sense to expand, have more regulations on it. So things like if we were to find out that the Scholarship Secretariat gives out scholarship to people who don't meet their criteria, the chief executive will be sacked. You know, things that make it more biting. You see, but so far what we are learning is that we need a more expansive act that will have direct consequences for the chief executive, that if you do this, you are out of the door. I think with that, it will be more biting, because for Kingsley Agyeman to say that no, for him, all he's aware of is that you should be a Ghanaian and have a recommendation. That tells you that a lot of rot is going on.
That was private legal practitioner Martin Pebu. Now, environmental health officers who have remained jobless since 2021 are set to protest on April 17, 2024 over the government's delay in granting them financial clearance for them to be employed. Despite completing their one-year mandatory national service, these officers say they have encountered a deadlock in their attempts to secure postings from the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. Speaking to Citi News, the General Secretary Fred Awene. Now, the Convention People's Party, CPP, says it will present a candidate to contest in the upcoming Ejiso by-election. This comes after the seat became vacant following the death of the sitting MP and Deputy Finance Minister John Kuma. Speaking to City News, Director of the People's Party, Sylvester Sapon Soprano. Away from that, a co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption in Ghana, Edem Senanu, is advocating for the implementation of illicit financial enrichment law to tackle organized crime in the run-up to the 2024 election. The coalition recently warned that the country's democratic progress and long-term stability could be at risk without action of the Ghana Football Association. Kwesi Nyantechi's public admission to paying bribes renders him unsuitable to be a member of parliament. Mr. Nyantechi has picked up nomination forms to contest the NPP primaries in Ejiso ahead of the by-election in the constituency. However, the former GFA president has admitted to paying $100,000 to prevent the release of the number 12 documentary by Tiger IPI. According to Vitus Axim, although Network for Peace Building, WANEP has urged the Agric Minister, Brian Echampon, to withdraw his comments on the handing over of power after the next general elections. The Abetifi MP on March 31 stated that the New Patriotic Party will not hand over power to the opposition National Democratic Congress after the 2024 general elections. Speaking to City News, the WANEP National Network Coordinator for Ghana, Albert Yenyang, says the comments could lead to negative consequences.
We have had in the past where people called the elections, even when the elections or the Electoral Commission had not made any announcement as far as the outcomes of the elections were concerned. Even before the elections, in the past, we've had, as I said, some key people making statements that suggested that they were not ready to give up power should they not win the elections. And we think that I think that's very unfortunate. It is about the Constitution. It is about being there, giving the mandate for 4 years, and after that mandate, expires, and that the people no longer give you the mandate, you need to give it up. So I think that statement it does not warrant under the circumstances in terms of our civilization, our democratic development, and so. Probably the person who made such a statement would probably need to retract his words. Otherwise, it may excite other people who do not understand, the implications of that statement to probably take some action. What then could also happen is that if somebody, based on that statement that he has made, takes some actions that are not within the remits of the law, then he could be blamed, even though he might not be the one who would have acted directly.
Albert Yenyang is National Network Coordinator, Ghana, for the West African Network for Peace Building. Away from that, the Executive Director of the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, Mensa Thompson, says the executive arm of government needs to state its official position on the anti-LGBTQ+ bill. The executive and legislative arms of government have experienced a standoff over the passage of the Human Sexual Rights in Ghanaian Family Values Bill, causing concern over a seeming deterioration in the relationship between the two arms. Speaking to City News, Mensa Thompson stated that the apparent disagreement between the arms of government could be resolved if the executive makes its position on the bill known rather than hiding behind the courts.
It's partly necessitated by the fact that you have a Speaker of Parliament who belongs to the opposition, and also the fact that you have almost, a hung parliament, and so it makes some of these things, this technical maneuvering by governments, a bit difficult. But we believe that the two arms must find a common ground. They must sit down and iron their differences out. And I think that if the executive is a bit more open with its position on the law the legislature makes, then we can identify the problem and then we can resolve the differences. As we speak, we do not know the official position of the executive. Parliament has made its position by passing a bill. The executive, we do not know what the position of the executive is in respect of the bill, whether they support the bill, whether they are against the bill, and they attempt to hide behind technical judicial processes not to make its position public. It's also part of what is creating the standoff. And so for us to make a headway, the executive must make its position on the bill clear.
Mensa Thompson, however, urged the country to approach the issue of homosexuality in a more progressive manner, geared towards reforming offenders instead of incarcerating them.
Most Ghanaians support the passage of the bill. And as a human rights organization, we do not have a problem with that. What we have advised is that we must look at the law from a progressive approach. And so instead of being focused on punitive sanctions and how to, punish or castigate or create some sort of, stigma for persons who may be involved in the practice of LGBTQ, rather the bill and the approach of the legislature should be more reformative. How do we put down, regulatory, frameworks that will promote our traditional cultural Ghanaian values without necessarily extremely punishing people who may fall short of it, such as incarceration and the other forms of punishment as prescribed in the bill.
You heard Mensa Thompson, he's Executive Director for the Alliance for Social Equity and Public